Talking with famous people.
Hi friends, host Eric here, host Talking with Famous People, here with host Spacey. And I had an interesting thought while I was taking a bath. Sport hands. I had an interesting thought while I was taking a bath a little while ago, which was, it seems like introverted feelers think their thoughts are not feelings. And I suspect that really feelings for introverted feelers are thoughts with weight. And they assume the weight's implicit to the thought. And so they don't make the distinction between weighted thoughts and unweighted thoughts. I think TI is unweighted thoughts, and that's why like a lot of FI DOMs or FI tool users will have I think some trouble distinguishing between thinking and feeling when they're doing it.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it really necessarily is their feelings, but like you said, it is weighted thoughts. Whatever that necessarily implies.
Dude, you gotta taste this crazy drink.
I'm sure it's amazing. What is it?
It's Italian soda with a coffee in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, right? It's weirdly good.
Oh, man. I may have to try some interesting stuff here. Yeah.
Wow, it tastes like a cocktail.
Yeah. Well, they make coffee cocktails. They have like a mojito one in there, too.
Okay. Well, so I've noticed like ESFPs, for example, or ENFPs will seem to have trouble distinguishing when they're using a disinterested calculus or interested calculus, naturally because TI is bipolar, but I would also state that FI DOMs tend to, or maybe it's just the case that they're going through life in a state where most of the time they're having to sort of suppress their dominant function. Do you think that's possible?
It's definitely possible, especially if you're a man, I think.
Right, because talking with Philosophical Thinker there, he was talking about how when he's doing work in the world, he's basically not feeling anything.
Right.
And he almost has to numb down his feelings. I think he used the word numb.
Yeah, he did.
To get himself to be where he can be effective in like math, for example. And then he described that great SE visualization, and I think, as a commenter highlighted a little while ago too. But I wonder if there's something to the notion that thoughts with weight comprise feeling, and thoughts without weight comprise thinking.
I mean, it sounds like a pretty reasonable way of conceptualizing it.
Well, it's obviously going to be the case that people who have feelings do thinking about those feelings.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily thinking to themselves, I'm subjectively feeling this, therefore I shouldn't put much weight into it because it's obviously not objective.
As you can see, the introverted feeling dominant dude he knows how he feels about things, he knows what he likes and what he doesn't like, but he cannot explain why. So
maybe feelings is the absence of why, just as thinking is the absence of I. You know? It's like, introvert thinking is, okay, well, I'm going to take away my own interest from the equation, the absence of interest. But introvert feeling the absence of why, because why suggests there's some reason other than interest, you know? Like, there are multiple reasons why one might do something. Some of them are personal interests. Like, why did I get this drink? Well, it sounded kind of crazy, and I thought it would be fun to get it.
Right.
That's all the why there needs to be. It's just interest in and of itself. Other things is like, well, why didn't you hit that person? Well, because it's a much more complicated answer, right? I can anticipate the following consequences, or it violates some sort of negative right, or some other reason that I can justify it.
But it almost seems like it's just a radar that just like picks up things that seem true to them, but it's just like that in its purest form.
Right, and it also involves that sense of others' equivalency as experiential beings, where you go, okay, well, if somebody said this to me, I have a little girl, If somebody said this to me, how would that make me feel? That's an introverted feeling equivalency kind of thing where um, people, where people who have introverted feeling are concerned really about the feelings of other people, which is why extroverted feeling is kind of misleading name for extroverted feeling. You know, it should almost be called extroverted socializing or extroverted perception management or something.
I don't even think we should call the functions introverted or extroverted anything. Because I feel like it's like that with almost anything. Like it's extroverted intuition shouldn't be intuition. Introverted sensing shouldn't be sensing.
Extroverted intuition should be extroverted though.
Right.
It shouldn't be intuition. It should be called extroverted talking.
Well, no, it could just be called something else entirely.
All right, so we just
Right.
get rid of the extroverted.
Right,
Okay,
that's
so
what I mean.
You're right. Okay, makes sense. We call like extroverted intuition should be called talking.
Right.
Extroverted sensing should be called doing. Introverted intuition should be called intuition.
Yeah.
Introverted sensing should be called body shit or memory and body shit.
Impressions. I don't know.
Yeah, impressions maybe. Let me go get that lady her shoe.
Oh,
Somebody else is doing it.
good, good.
A lot of good Samaritans around here.
Hell yeah.
Nobody wants to see that lady lose her kid's shoe in the middle of the street. And then what would we call extroverted thinking?
Logistics.
Logistics, efficiencies.
Same thing.
I mean, is legit? Yeah, I guess logistics is the sort of
To do good logistics, you have to be efficient.
is the practice of rendering communicative extroverted thinking would be called logistics, right? Like logistics is the art of rendering communicable extroverted thinking. Casey had to take a phone call. It's probably Bob. Bob's always calling up and saying, "Spacey, it's me, Bob." And Spacey's like, "Bob, I don't know who you are."
Did you put a turtle on the lawn?
No, there's no turtle. I didn't put any turtle on the
No,
lawn.
you didn't.
Did Kimberly find a turtle on the lawn?
Yes, apparently.
Really? How odd. I swear I put no turtle on the lawn.
Okay, well, we're in the middle of a thing. We're in the middle of a thing right now.
We're making a
We're
video
making a video
about cognitive function.
about cognitive functions.
We invited you to join us, but you declined.
Well, now she has a turtle, so she's happy, right, Kimberly?
Are you happy you have a turtle or sad?
Well, then don't do anything with it.
Just wait till we get back.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, that's the kind of shit that happens to us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody just finds animals, and who knows? We find dead possums or almost dead possums. Anyway, and then what would you call introverted feeling? Feeling?
Introverted feeling would be feeling, I suppose.
That would keep its name.
But I don't want to call any of the functions feeling, really. If they're...
Damperature? Would you call it damperature, maybe?
How about damperaneousness?
Can you give a damperaneous speech? That's a impromptu emotional speech.
Right.
Damperaneous, yeah. Okay, well, so basically, do we have any other thoughts that we want to share or insights that we had walking away from a couple of any polar typings? Chris, who's this lady ENTP that had a typing session with me, and I typed with ENTP, and who comments a lot on videos, she pointed out that I've said in the past that the NE polar test isn't very reliable. You shouldn't really count on it. But I said in response in the comments, like, I can smell the different flavors of bad NE. You know, doesn't that just smell
Yeah,
like
I kinda
ISFP
can
bad
too.
NE?
I'm starting to realize it, though, totally. Like, people with NE fourth slot will actually sometimes do a lot of NE. It will just
Right.
be really crappy.
Right. I mean, and you'll see Kimberly delight in actually doing NE when she does it.
Right.
And it'll be kind of like, what was there some dumbass joke she made the other night? He was just cracking herself up with it. But
Nice.
it's adorable, you know. From an NE Dom's perspective, it's particularly adorable because it's like, oh, look at you do that thing that I'm natural at, and she has the same response to my SI. But for any polar, can you assume that because somebody only gives 2 or 3 reasons why they might want to climb a mountain or whatever that they're any polar? No.
No.
Absolutely, you're right. We can't assume that. But the way that he
It's not how they answer it.
it's about how the reticence plays out.
Right.
Whether it's reticence or a genuine sense of like, I don't get really what you're getting at here. Why would I want to come up with those
Yeah.
reasons? It's
It-
that
we-
sort of quality.
Well, what we saw with this any polar dude was basically, right, he would take a while to come up with 2 reasons that were basically the same reason.
That was the
Or-
ISTP.
Right.
Yeah.
Or as soon as Eric mentioned something, he would just be like, oh yeah, that.
I hypothesized yesterday, in fact, that one way to distinguish between ISTP and ISFP polar NE is that ISTP polar NE gives you the same reason twice expressed differently.
Right.
So it's like to get away from Los Angeles would be one reason, and then to be free from all the people in the metropolis area would be
Right.
another reason. You
Yeah.
know, it's really the same reason, but it's voiced in 2 different ways. I think that's indicative of the TI giving the ISTP better language skills fundamentally on
Yes.
some level than the ISFP,
Definitely.
and so that's why they do that.
They don't speak a lot either, but when they do speak, they're more articulate.
Right. And I think it boils down to ultimately that if you're an introverted feeler, you get the fact that symbols don't really represent the real things that matter. They're just symbols. And if you're somebody like me, you really don't get that at all, and you think symbols are what matters most of all, and the other things don't really matter. Look in your wisdoms bag. How many wisdoms do you have sitting there right now?
I suppose it seems to me that people with FI high in the stack you're going to see them getting into things like math and science and engineering and stuff way more than people with CI high in the stack.
I mean, at least they're seeking the...
I see that more with INFPs, than ISFPs, but nonetheless, it seems like that TE seeking will lead you to...
It would seem like TE is a good thing to seek, because
Right, it is.
you can get it from lots of external sources.
Right.
All you do is take a class, with a good teacher who's got a good syllabus who follows it and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and the TE is all done for me. If I find that satisfying, that's a pretty useful thing to find satisfying.
It is, though, yeah.
I don't think you or I find that satisfying.
No.
You ignore it. Like, well, why would I look to anybody else to tell me how to do anything? That's crazy. Obviously, I
Right.
think those things myself,
Right.
while concurrently ignoring them because I'm an INTP.
Yeah.
Whereas I go, I'm going to challenge everything for statuses, and then I don't actually care about learning how to do things at all. So I'm just going to be difficult. I'm that difficult kid in your class. Yeah,
So-
okay.
So I don't know if it's just the TE seeking or if there actually is something about FI that makes you
Well, I
that
mean,
actually lends you some kind of introverted judging.
it makes the TI instrumental is what it does.
Okay.
See, your TI is not instrumental. It is fundamental. It is an end in itself. It is an implicit value.
Okay.
And FI Dom has TI that's instrumental. It always serves their FI. If they like something like math or get enamored with the idea of themselves as somebody who's good at math or something, and then they seek the TE and they get that satisfaction of receiving it because there's clear protocols. How do you get to be in a class at the most advanced level of math? Well, you take this class, then this class, then this class, then this class. There's a clear enough path, you know?
I see it with my ISFP mom actually when she likes to bake because it's very formulaic. And when she always says stuff like, "Oh, I'm terrible at math. Like I can't do this. Can you tell me, how many tablespoons are in a cup or whatever?" But the fact is, when she's into it enough, like with the baking, and she does it enough times, she starts doing it on her own. Like she really can do math just fine, and she just really, really doesn't want to have to do it.
Right. Whereas Kimberly, she really can't do the TE
Yeah.
thing. It's like, if you say, the thing that she put up, the arch that she put up, right? It had all these pieces in it that you're supposed to put together to make it stand upright. And she put like 1/10 of the pieces that came with it into the making of the arch. Like she only put like a bolt here and a bolt here. She didn't put a nut on the bolt. And then she's like, oh, good enough.
Right? It's just like, oh, okay, it's not falling.
It's not currently falling
enough.
over.
But I mean, you think that's a common thing for an ISFP at least to like, it's like she wants everybody else to have to do all the TE or the TI for her. She can totally do it if she puts some effort into it.
Well, I think ISFP is going to be manifest a lot. They're going to be one of the more particularist of the NI types because they're going to. It depends on the environment. Like this guy, philosophical thinker, he was probably raised in a household where they prioritize education, I would guess, and where they think it's important that you go into college and stuff like that. So he found the aspect, the niche of the education thing that he was comfortable with. He felt like he could attain in, and that was satisfying his seeking of the TE. I mean, what's more clear cut than the path in math? You know, it's about as clear cut as you can get. And then it's a singular path. It's NI. He doesn't say he does great in all of school. He just does great in math. You know, and he does good enough in the other classes. So it all seems to fit together. But it's a quality or a reaction of his particular circumstances. What's been prioritized in that environment, his FI is going to find the aspect of that environment, the sub environment that's comfortable with his FI. If he'd been in like a rugged Alaskan bush people family, maybe he'd be specializing in trapping beavers or something.
Right. Exactly.
This is Sport Hands. I want to introduce you before we go. Fist bump!